Idaho is worst in the country when it comes to how many doctors we have per capita. It doesn't help that Idaho doesn't have its own medical school, at least one that licenses MDs, which is why 53 years ago, the Gem State joined the WAAMI program, a partnership between the University of Washington School of Medicine, Wyoming, Alaska, and Montana, 3 other states without a medical school. It was a chance for Idahoans who wanted to be doctors to have access to that education and clinical rotation training. Idaho started with 10 students in 1972, upped it to about 40 per year, or to exactly 40 per year back in 2016. And right now there are more than 250 clinical clerkships across the state, places to get hands-on learning from actual doctors. Idaho has had 747 graduates of the WAAMI program. 367 of those have practiced or are currently practicing in the Gem State. That's a return rate of 51%. A number that will likely go up over the next few years now that Idaho requires Idaho students who enroll in the WAAMI program to return and practice in the state for at least 4 years. Yet, there's been a push this session to pull the plug on that medical school partnership and create another from scratch with the University of Idaho, or Utah, excuse me. House Bill 176 made it out of committee nearly 2 weeks ago. And say it with me, despite overwhelming opposition. Well, one of those opposed is a Boise State grad who was accepted into WAAMI 2 years ago. He told us today the impact the program has had on him and the quest to improve healthcare access in Idaho.
I wanted to try something. It sounded kind of fun.
For Graf Kirk, his career path pivoted while studying engineering at BSU.
I wanted to be a doctor the first time I did a physical exam on a patient. I was an emergency medical technician.
Now a second-year medical student at the University of Washington.
It's just a really magical thing when you get to participate in that.
Graf learned about House Bill 176 in an email from his dean.
I was just studying for my Step 1 board exam when I got it, and
what'd you think?
I'm really shocked. This is such a phenomenal program, and if folks knew what this program did and the kind of physicians it trained and the resources that we had access to because we're UW students, I don't think we'd be facing this bill at all. Part of our training is going around the WAAMI region for those clerkships. So I get to do some in Seattle. I get to do some here in Boise. I have the opportunity to go to Alaska and anywhere in the WAAMI region. When you move around and see that many different hospital systems, you get really, really good at dealing with things that are like unpredictable.
I want you to think about our overall objectives in Idaho with medical education, and that is to have quality.
The WAAMI bill,
to increase capacity, and also the cost benefit to the state,
would remove Idaho from the UW Medical School co-op for 2 reasons. One, Idaho wants more spots in the program.
One of the issues with that is that in order to train a student like me, you need to have other physicians who can take students on in their practice and teach them internal medicine and surgery and obstetrics and gynecology. It's difficult to expand that capacity when there's so few physicians in Idaho already. So that's been a barrier to expanding the WAAMI program in Idaho.
The second reason that you've heard that they want to do this is what?
So that's more about a political debate about abortion.
The University of Washington Medical School is stridently pro-abortion, and the state of Idaho's contract with the University of Washington through the WAAMI program is a violation of Idaho law.
Idaho lawmakers want a guarantee. Gem State money won't be paying for medical students to perform abortions.
There are, I think, 2 problems with that line of thinking. One is that our tuition dollars don't go to students like me performing abortions.
A fact backed up by a UW vice dean.
And I can reassure you that no Idaho funds are used for abortion care or abortion training.
But also,
I took my board exam a couple weeks ago, and abortion medications are on there. It's important for us to learn about those medications and those procedures in order just to become a doctor. Even if I'm never going to participate in an abortion, I want to know about this, because if I have a patient who has come in and had an abortion recently, I don't want to be Googling what mifepristone is or misoprostol.
I think one of the arguments I heard was that it isn't a good, we're not getting back what we put in. Do you buy that?
Not at all. Not only is WAAMI a really good program to allow Idaho students to stay in Idaho for their training, but it exposes all of those other states. You know, it exposes Wyoming, it exposes Washington students to Idaho, and that helps recruit to Idaho residencies. They're going to rank those higher because they've been there, and you know, you don't get to fall in love with Idaho until you've been here and got to see it a little bit.
So the return rate of Idaho students in WAAMI is 51%. But when you include WAAMI students from other states that spend clinical rotation time in Idaho, as you heard Graf talk about, that return rate jumps to 72%. Considering Idaho pays about half of the program's tuition per student, which is about $84,000 a year, that tuition, I should say. Critics of the bill say it's a pretty decent return on investment, especially if the goal is to increase the number of doctors in Idaho. Without WAAMI, that number will likely get worse. House Bill 176 is still waiting a debate on the House floor. We tried to ask the bill's sponsors about it today, and we were told, well, that bill could be going through some changes, so we'll stay tuned.